Yeah, it's a good question, and I'm going to share this actually because it's a great metaphor for learning the dating game itself. And so for those who are listening, hi, Shaun Michael Discovery, 3-second rule. Yeah, so me and the boys, we got going. Well, you guys got me into it. In go-karting, the beginning of the year, it was for my birthday originally. Then the boot camp did it, and everybody had such a great time. And I kept doing a few sessions. But what I was annoyed at and frustrated with was, yeah, no, I wasn't fat. I was a big guy. I was like 96, 97 kilos, 210 pounds, and everybody else we were competing with was much lighter. And obviously, the lighter they were, they had obviously skill comes into it, but obviously you don't see big race drivers. So, and that would be also another, metaphor for the game because of learning the dating game. A lot of guys think they're at a disadvantage. I'm too old, or I don't have any money to go on dates, or I'm too ugly, or I'm too short, I'm not at the gym. We all have something, okay? There will be a few guys in the few percent in the world, but they are in the few percent of the world who have a lot of choice. But for most of us, we don't, and we have to leverage what we've got. So I worked in learning the go-karting, the high-speed racing, with what I had. And what I had was the exact same thing that I did in the Army. For those of you who don't know, I was a British Army physical training instructor. But what you don't know is that I was shit at every fucking sport possible. I was like terrible at football. I was the kid at school, always hoping there'd just be somebody worse than me on that day there, so I wouldn't be the guy getting picked last, which I normally was. And I just was terrible at anything to do with the ball. I had no hand-eye coordination, no fitness. So the only way to escape my hometown at the time was to join the British Army, and that's exactly what I did. And it was like the same shit all over again. Like, oh, here we go, Wednesday sports afternoon. It's going to soon become apparent that, I'm not good at football, I'm not good at rugby, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at that. So I'm like, what can I control? Same as what I did to get in the Army, I got my fitness up. So can I go to the gym, sir, please? And they're like, before the gym became popular. So that's exactly what I did. And I took control of that which I could control, and that was my fitness. I could turn up. I got up early in the morning, and remember, the Army guys are getting up very early, and 2 times a week I'd get up early or I'd stay up late. So I'd get an extra 3 gym sessions more than everyone else, and I just really work on my strength. And I used that to my advantage, and I just focused on the things I could do. I started running more, and I got very fit enough to get into the Army physical training branch, and that's the thing, like a lot of military around the world, you can just join as a physical training instructor. In the British Army, you have to get in there and go on a 6 weeks and then a 9-week course just to get past the test. And I did that. So I was at the elite of physical training. And so here I am years later, the same shit that I applied to learn the dating game. And only in this last few months, I've been experiencing all of that all over again. And that is, okay, I'm too old to go high-speed go-karting, or you're too heavy to do it, or I feel weird, when the little kids are passing me little shits, Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, it's those barriers that people have to learning any skill, and especially in the dating game, there are a lot of pains associated, because at our core essence, we want to find a mate as a man, a human being. It's in our DNA wiring to do that, to find a mate. So to keep getting rejected over a long period of time, the self-talk and the feedback loops that come with that are atrocious to the nervous system. So guys feel that rejection. So I applied the same principles starting in February this year, it's like 6 months ago, to doing the high-speed go-karting. I thought I'll just turn up once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks, but I just be consistent and turn up. But what I did do, if you remember we did like 3 days in a week. And that's a little bit like in the dating game, the first bit to get going, that little growth curve. Exactly. Yeah, volume and velocity. Volume, the amount of times you do it, and velocity, the time frame. Condense the time frame. that you don't have to keep doing that long term, but do that, same as in the dating game, to get you going. And then you have what we call momentum. And when you've got momentum, then you feel like, I'm doing all right at this. You invest. I went and bought the helmet, remember? That black and yellow helmet. And then I felt like I had an extra tool, so it encouraged me to go a bit more. It's like a guy going out in the game. He goes in, gets a nice haircut, does a bit of grooming, styles himself up, goes to the gym a few more times, buys that nice shirt. When he goes out, he feels a bit more comfortable with himself. That does help about how you feel. So, but also fuck feelings. Go out and do it irrespective. Though it's the next couple of weeks after you didn't come along, and then the guys, nobody wanted to go along. I'm like, fucking hell, I've just bought a bloody helmet. I'm going to, you know what, bollocks, I'm going to go do it. I want to keep doing it. And I turned up, and in those times that you didn't see, because when I was with you guys, I was doing all right. When I was with those other guys, and that's another metaphor for learning any skill, surround yourself with people who are better than you. I was either, again, last or second last, because they were all members, they were all racing pros, but I didn't mind the amount of tips I was getting from hanging around those people. Little tips on the corner, how to not be braking, how to slide, how to use my weight on certain corners. I was getting lots of tips, and that's exactly what I did before your time in the game, was surrounding myself with Mystery, Matador, Lovedrop, and Style. I had all of those guys around me, but I made myself valuable. And how I did that was because I became a humble student. People saw, like the instructors, there's another guy who wants a few tips, but they saw me go out and put that into practice. And then when I did that, you're like, yeah, that really worked. I appreciated them. I thanked them for their input. And then as they're watching me grow, they feel good as an instructor themselves or as a mentor passing those tips on, because you've got a student guy who's willing to go and do the work. And it makes them feel good about that. Nobody who wants to be a good mentor wants to keep chipping away at somebody to get them to go do it, and they don't do the work and they don't get the results, and then they keep coming back for more tips. It's just very draining. So be a good mentee is another tip for learning a skill set, never mind just a game. And that's exactly what I did. So back to last night, I went out last night, as I said, I got 2 personal bests, and it was a 500th of a second, half a second, basically, which is quite a lot on racing. And both, one after the other, 2 different races, I got 2 personal bests. They're better than I'd ever done before. And your question to me was, oh, is it because I had a break? Yes, having a break helps because you come back. But it's like going to bar clubs and you stop going out and you come back in, and it gets harder to get momentum. But as you come back, I reflected on, okay, what were my challenges last time? Where was I getting beating? And I broke down the corners, each corner. So I made a commitment and I visualized, I used the sports psychologist in me, and I broke down the corners. And then I said, right, I'm going to break these down. Everybody's going to be racing for timings. I'm not. I'm going to focus on those 3 corners. I'm just going to drill them. So you got like 15, 20 laps in that period of time, if not more. And I'm just going to focus on those few corners. And that's exactly what I did. And I went out there and I drilled those corners so tightly. And after the first one, the timings were all over the place. So then we have a second race. You go back, and now it gets a little bit easier. Those corners are starting to become already an unconscious competence. I wasn't having to watch the little line on the tarmac of, okay, I'm going to let my foot off the accelerator here, then flip it across, have a little bit of a slide, and ease the pressure back on the accelerator to get out of that corner. I didn't have to think that, like learning how to drive, mirror signal maneuver. You don't do it after a while, but it does help to practice the competencies, the skill sets. So I did that, and then I did that on the next turn, and then the second and the third race, that's when I got my 2 personal bests. So I didn't get them just by having a break. I got them by going in there and having specific objectives that were not outcome related. A lot of guys in the dating game, they're always focusing on getting the number, getting the girl, getting the Instagram, getting laid. Did I get a girlfriend? And then their feelings and emotions, I didn't get it. So your self-talk loop becomes really negative after a while. Whereas if you go out and you focus on not the objective, but the process, and break things down to what you're practicing on, you'll start to notice how you're improving in those areas without worrying about, did I win the race? Did I get the best time? Did I get the girl? Did I get a number? Did I get late? Because you can see how if you keep going out while you're learning for a long time, imagine a pro boxer, as they're practicing their drills. You watch a sprinter, like a 9-10 second sprint or whatever it is, and they spend 3-4 hours doing drills. They're not sprinting that entire time. They're doing the drills to get the skills so they have the competencies. Then they can focus on the mindset and tweaking it later on. But initially, you need momentum. So whatever you're going to do, go out and do it, especially in the game, and practice. And if you're restarting or getting going for the first time, or you've never really had the results you want, take a step back and think about what were your weak areas. What can you break them down into subcomponents? Maybe it is, for instance, okay, you're not getting the number, but rather than think, I didn't get a number, are you actually asking for the number? Make a point of practicing the drill of, I like our energy. We should keep this alive. But what are we doing here? Are we insta-crapping or fake booking? And just doing a little optional close. Get used to the habit of practicing asking for the number. There's lots of ways to ask for it. Don't have to follow that one particularly. But the point is, get something that you like and then keep drilling it so you get into the habit of asking for it later on, as it's more congruent with your body language, your behavior, your attraction material was kicking in. Then later on, you just naturally asking for because imagine you'd done that and you did really great attraction. She liked you, you qualified, you challenged her, she's making efforts, she'd like to see you again. But you're shit at asking for the number. In sales, you're shit at asking for the sale. For instance, in the go-karting circuit world, which I've just entered, then in that world, it would be like, I've just got to the front and I've got pole position, but I don't know what to do with it. And everybody's up my backside and you get all nervous and you lose it. So you've got to practice the end processes and practicing getting the number. Okay, now let's spend some time together. Oh shit, I haven't figured out where I would take her. Think of a couple of bounce places. Hey, why don't we grab food at ABC restaurant? You know where you're going next. And if all of those little processes are in line, then it makes it easier to pull them all together and it just flows. But most guys, you see, they're going out to get in the go-kart, to get in the bar, the club, to get in the ring as a boxer and try to win. They want to win straight away. And that's not how you practice getting skills in any discipline or any endeavor. So how do I get my personal best? By breaking them all down and not focusing on the outcome, focusing on the process. And I got my 2 personal bests, which is nearly a second faster than over a month ago, which is quite a lot. Enough, by the way, that got me into the British Karting Championship finals. Not finals, sorry, the championships itself. I'm into the regionals at the moment. So it's and I will probably get farther than that, but who cares? It's new to me, it's exciting, it's getting to test those skill sets. And that's a little bit like the game as well. Okay, I've done enough drills and practice. Let's go out this weekend and let's put the closing cap on. Let's go for some clothes, bring it all together. Let's see what we can get out of it. And then make sure you reflect as well. Make sure you reflect, write some action points down, what you need to change, what you need to get better at, and go get some personal bests and then bring it all together and win the game. Get the girl, get the girlfriend, have a new friend, network, meet some cool people, rack up some Instagram numbers, have some other girls reacting to your posts. A little tip, by the way, just because you've got an Instagram close doesn't mean say you get the girl. In some cases, if you've got really bad game, all it means is that she got a fan. So be careful of that. But processes, focusing on volume and velocity, getting momentum earlier, and just putting the time and the work in. Same as any skill set, and you will get the results. And the great thing about, I can get good at karting. It's a bit of fun. I can get better at driving. I can get better at shooting or whatever other skill. But there is no skill on the planet, and you heard me say this before, there's no skill on the planet that is as exciting and rewarding as learning the dating game. Because once you get those skills are for life. They're for life. And if you don't have them, they will affect you every day for the rest of your life in a negative way. A man not able to find a mate. But once you know you have choice, And you don't have to take that first one that comes along because you know you're going to have so many options. That's a beautiful place to be as a man. And then when you do choose a partner, there's more likely for success in that relationship. And again, not all relationships last forever. Most don't these days. Don't think about that. Think about getting into the relationship. And yeah, it's so rewarding when you have options and choices as a man and know you could go anywhere in the world and be getting laid, having beautiful girlfriends, having companionship, maybe finding someone special to settle down with, whatever it might be. It's a beautiful skill set to have. Get out of the house, put the work in, be a humble mentee, volume and velocity, focus on the process and not the outcomes, and then put it all together when you've got those skills and go for it. Take care, take action, get out of the house. Cheers, buddy.